you're going to go through this class exactly like you've gone before. So it's basically, it's for others that you're doing this, not for yourselves. Although this would be the second time that you've been through this. Most of the people have been through it once already. This would be a truncated version of what we're doing right here. Instead of an hour and a half per session, an hour per session. 8 hours. And they're going to sit there and they're going to edit this. Now, to give you a heads up, these people are from San Francisco, and I went down to St. Patrick's Seminary last week, Thursday, and I was filmed myself for the whole day. Now, I am not the Brad Pitt of catechetics. I probably didn't even have to tell you that, did I? All right? And so I'm sitting there, and this is that kind of artsy stuff that they do, where you're walking through colonnades, and you've got a book with you, and you look professorial. Oh, God. And you do, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying, Dan.
I'm sorry, you put it right over the middle.
I know, I do, right over the middle, right over the middle. But here, you know, I'm walking down at 25 times, 25 takes with the camera down here, going along a runner, you know, this kind of thing. Oh, it's fierce. And then you get into the library, and of course the library is just absolutely magnificent. And the whole afternoon was sitting there and asking me questions, and the questions will not get on tape, but my answers will. Well, if I blink my eyeballs wrong, or if I blink one eye wrong and the other doesn't blink, then they retake it. See? So I don't remember what I just said, of course, because I'm at that age where I can remember 65 years ago. I can't remember what I just said, right? So it was really arduous, very exhausting, and I didn't sleep a wink the night before because I stayed at Michelle Coldiron's house down in Los Altos in a new bed, and it was just on my mind, and I simply don't sleep when I have stuff on my mind. So I didn't sleep, and my brain was totally addled the next day. Totally addled. Look it up. That's a good word, addled.
Yeah, that's some of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what happens when you read this stuff, right? So the reason I'm telling you this story is, first of all, these guys are really professional. I mean, we're talking every single hair, every single light, the lights on the books, everything has got to be just absolutely perfect. And so that's the deal. I mean, they're going to be sitting there and really having at this thing on the 29th and 30th at St. John the Baptist Parish in Folsom. So that'll be an interesting thing for you to see. They hope to get something very professional going so that they can, you know, lend that out to EWTN, whatever works, they're going to be doing that. But that's not the reason I'm telling you that. I'm telling you because right in the middle of all of this, you know who Beelzebub is? Okay. Well, I hope you haven't met him personally. But traditionally we call him the Lord of the Flies, right? Well, during this taping, and there are there are lights everywhere. It's hot, and these things that flash the lights off so that you're I don't know. And then there's the microphone up here, and then there's a deadening thing on top of that, because if the thing goes off the ceiling and comes down, they can hear that. They can hear every single thing in the entire library. So right in the middle of this, along comes the biggest fly I've ever seen in my life. We're talking gigantic fly. I'm from Minnesota. We got big horse flies back there. They bite, right? This thing was that big, and that thing was sitting there and messing with every single thing there. It landed on my head. It landed on my nose. It landed on the light over here. It did it, and then it flew around. And of course they picked up that. See? Get out of here. And they tried to kill it. It's just, that's like trying to kill that boa constrictor in the garden. That's just not going to happen.
I think you call it fly-tape letter.
Fly-tape letter. Honest to God, it was just awful. I was so exhausted at the end of that, I thought, I can't, there's no way, no one is ever going to get me to do this again. Ever. Okay? So when you see me in front of those guys at the end of this month, you're going to see, that's it for this folk. I mean, that's it. Okay? The rest of you can, you know, take over. I'm done. I am done. Okay, so anyway, that's the deal. But I was really impressed, and what a great group of guys. I mean, I'm telling you, whew. And the questions, holy Toledo. This guy is a Catholic who runs this outfit. It's Milo Mix, by the way. Milo Mix. His name is Milosevic or something. It's what? Eastern Europe. Okay? And he's really a good guy and he's very smart. And he has always been a Catholic, but has just recently gotten back to looking at the faith more deeply. And this is right up his alley. I mean, this is something that he's really interested in. And I just wasn't animated enough for the first hour and a half to 2 hours. So we did that over again, I can guarantee you that. And I didn't know I could, do my hands and all this sort of thing, because when I look at all this stuff, I see all these cool guys like George Weigel that you're gonna see at the end, right? The guy doesn't even move. I mean, he's just perfect. Every sentence is perfect. And he looks perfect, and he acts perfect, and he talks perfectly. And my goodness. Oh, there it is. There's the blue bottle fly flying around. The same one, I suppose, right?
I kept thinking, I just want to put all 6 of these guys down and make them argue in front of Christ and see what the hell I have to say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that would be most interesting to be in on that one, don't you think?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't know if there'd be I don't know if there'd be beer, that
Yeah.
they'd be
Wine, you like
or
wine?
wine. Yeah, wine. Okay, let's get at it. We got a lot to do. We got some things from last session to do that we did not do. So we're going to go back to Wojtyła's Carmelite personalism, and that starts on 23, I believe. Let's go back to 22 first. 22. We read this paragraph right here on 22, the second from the bottom, all of the works of John Paul II. Of all the works, the theology of the body is the most direct, profound, and extensive analysis of what God wishes above all to transmit to human beings in His Word. And then it's a segue into this quote down below. And I didn't want to do that quote right then. I wanted everybody to turn the page and look at that triangle. See that triangle on the next page? Okay. That triangle comes from John Paul II as Karol Wojtyła, looking at St. John of the Cross and doing a doctoral dissertation on faith in St. John of the Cross. And so he learns Spanish, and then he sits there and goes through all of that and comes up with this doctoral dissertation. Doctoral dissertation about that thick. I haven't read it all. You talk about dense and abstruse, Harry. We're talking dense and abstruse, right? So, but it's very important, because what he does then is he lifts out, just like we're doing here, he lifts out stuff. John Paul II does, that is, Karol Wojtyła does. He lifts it out and he starts to realize that with St. John of the Cross, St. John is using matrimonial language. He's using love language between God and the mystic person, the mystical person, right? Now, it happens to be he himself, but he's not talking about it in terms of I. He's talking about it in terms of that, the beloved.